Because of the following Twins celebration special, Frank's Place and Caton Alley will not be seen tonight. The Champions, a Twins celebration. Brought to you in part by Midwest Federal, your #1 sports fan and good tree to come to for shelter since 1891. By Stroh's and Stroh's Light. Now you're talking good times, and Stroh's is spoken here. And by Jiffy Lube.
Live from Southdale, WCCO Television proudly presents The Champions, a Twins celebration. And now,
good evening, everyone. The party continues. Welcome to our Twin Special live from Southdale. I'm Mark Rose along with Pat Miles and Don Shelby. Oh, it sounds like we're in the Metrodome. Woo! We have a very full hour in store for you, including interviews with some of the heroes, the Minnesota Twins, world champions. And, of course, we'll also be taking a look back at this, the miracle year, the 1987 season of the Minnesota Twins.
We have a lot of special tape pieces that we're going to be showing throughout this program. We don't want to forget what's happened yesterday and the last week. So we'll be showing some of these tape pieces so that we can all remember World Series week in Minnesota and Wisconsin.
No celebration would be complete without music, of course. And I see out in this audience that everybody has brought along their Homer hankies. We're going to introduce you to the man who put words to the Homer hanky, who made that song a classic in the Twin Cities and throughout the United States. J.D. Steele will be along with us. Also joining us will be, over here you see the Barbary Coast Banjo Brass Band, Twin Cities group you probably heard at the State Fair this year. And what would a Twin Special be without the number 10 person on the diamond? The fans of the 1987 World Champions. Tom Hanneman and R.J. Fritz are out in the bleachers, out in the expensive seat with the fans tonight.
Thanks. We're going to have to do something about getting this crowd revved up tonight. There's just not enough enthusiasm here, right, Ralph? We're going to talk with the fans who certainly have some questions for the players. The Twins players will be speaking with tonight. All sorts of things in store, including Wally the Beer Man, our favorite beer vendor.
Wally the Beer
here.
Man will be here, all right. And Tom Hanneman, you are looking good, I should say that. Tom Hanneman is the man who's had more champagne poured over his head in the last month, and you should get some sort of an endorsement from the shampoo that you're taking there, because it looks excellent. We'll also, speaking of the fans, Dr. Joyce Brothers said, we are all going to have a big letdown here in Minnesota in a few days, but I'll tell you what, it hasn't happened so far. The fans are still loving it all.
No matter where you found yourself in Twins land last night, it was just like this. The excitement was pure electricity.
But perhaps the biggest surges of power came from in and around the Metrodome last night when the World Series was won and the party had begun.
Yeah, it really was just some of the magical moments that the fans experienced both inside and outside the dome. And I'll tell you what, as the ball players themselves will tell you a little bit later, it was their mission to go out and share it with the fans who really were the most valuable players for the Minnesota Twins this season. And you guys have your Homer hankies out there?
Hang up the laundry.
Let's see it.
Let's see it.
Without a doubt, the most visible symbol of fan support, of course, throughout this past season is the world's most famous piece of linen, the Homer Hanky.
All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome the man who put the beat to the Homer Hanky. Please welcome, in Twins fan style, Mr. J.D. Steele.
All right, do you remember the song? Do you know it? Okay, I want everybody to wave your hankies like that. Okay, let's get a beat going now, okay? Everybody wave the Homer Hanky. Sing! My baby wave the Homer Hanky. Our twins wave the Homer Hanky. Such a view, wave the Homer Hanky. Everybody wave the Homer Hanky. Our twins like to touch them all. Off the bat with the big long ball. Taxi bags and we stole them home. We carried bags and we stole them home. Cause you wave your hanky, yeah, you wave your hanky. Every baby waves the Homer Hanky. My baby waves the Homer Hanky. Everybody waves the Homer Hanky. Every view waves the Homer Hanky. Everybody wave the Homer Hanky. Everybody wave the Homer Hanky. Everybody wave the Homer Hanky. Sing! Everybody wave the Homer Hanky. Everybody wave the Homer Hanky. Woo! Everybody wave your Homer Hanky. Our twins are number one. Our twins are number one. Everybody! Our twins are number one. Our twins are number one. Our twins are number one.
On the champions, the Twins
Everybody
celebration.
wave your Homer Hanky. Everybody wave your Homer Hanky. Cause you wave your hanky, yeah, your Homer Hanky. Thank you. We're number one. Yes.
Welcome back to our Twins special live here from Southdale. And you know, when we look back at the Twins' 1987 season, the magic moments are certainly many. And it all began, as you guys know, opening day, April the 7th, when a rookie manager had the jitters.
Well, I'll probably be nervous. I've been nervous pretty much all day, and been to the bathroom a few times. So I guess I've been nervous.
Tom Kelly, you need not be nervous any longer. The Twins started the season on the right foot. Powerful bats and a dazzling display of defense kept the Twins on top of the division most of the first half.
What a play by Hervey. On 3-2. Out of the short right field. Alberdosi on the run. What a catch by Alberdosi. That's Curry. Curry got it.
Oh, there were those moments best forgotten.
McDowell's trying to score. They got a play on him, and he's safe.
But nothing that couldn't be remedied by some good dome cooking.
That's hit deep to right field. And the ball game is over. Fly ball belted deep to right field. He looks up there. This will fly away. Big home run in their victory yesterday, and sends that towering deep drive to center. Throws it to the warning track, to the wall. Fly away.
The Twins kept pace throughout August and into September. The new additions to the 1987 team helped give them the edge.
Left side, and he gets it through that little hole on the left side.
Late in September, the Twins found themselves playing for the division title.
It's deep. It's deep. It's gone. Gaetti tries one to deep center. Wilson going back, and this one is gone. Way back, and gone.
They tied for the title against Kansas City, then clinched it in Texas.
it was just I don't know, an intense feeling in the dugout, just trying to, get that last out and get it over with.
Need some help, Lumber?
Yeah, you could probably. Ken Herbeck.
I'm stumbling here.
Onward to the playoffs and a date with Detroit. Critics said there was no way the Twins could match up with the mighty Tigers.
Broken back. Gaetti goes to one knee, hustles up, and Herbeck with an extraordinary play. Sheridan drives one to deep right, way back. It's on its way, and the Tigers have the lead. Hard shot, extra base hit by the diving Wilkins. One run in. And they'll have runners at second and third as Larkin comes through with a pinch hit double. He could use the strikeout here. High in the corners. Throw to third. Out! They got Evans! Any pitch could be the last. Reardon has it. The Minnesota Twins are in the World Series.
5 games disposed of Detroit, and the march continued to the World Series. The St. Louis Cardinals found out firsthand what the Metrodome mania was all about.
High in the air to deep left field. Bolden goes back. A grand slam. The center and deep. And McGee goes back, and it's gone.
A 2-game lead was just what the doctor ordered. But a 3-game trip to St. Louis brought back memories of the road trip blues.
High drive to deep left field. Grattan goes all the way back at the fence. It's off. It's gone.
The Twins were down 3-2, but the cure was simple. Bring it back to the Dome.
To deep left field. Loaded, 2 out, bottom of the 6th, Twins lead by 1. And Herbeck gets a high drive to deep center field. McGee goes in, grand slam. To Gaetti, for the first time ever, the Minnesota Twins are the world champions.
One more time, the 1987 world champion Minnesota Twins. And now it's time to meet some of the guys who helped make this such a miracle year. It's my pleasure to introduce a man who helped make the Minnesota Twins the #1 defensive team in all of Major League Baseball and came through with so many clutch hits in the playoffs and in the World Series. Second baseman Steve Lombardozzi.
We didn't introduce her. What's her name?
Tony.
And how old is she?
She's 18 months right now.
Hi, Tony. She's not. We're not going to scare her to death, are we?
Oh, no.
She's used to
She's
this.
been in the Metrodome.
Steve, tell us, and I know you've been asked this question a million times, but if you can describe it, what has this been like? What sort of feelings have you gone through?
It's been such a roller coaster of emotions through the whole playoffs, and well, since we clinched it in the playoffs and now the World Series, it's just been an incredible feeling. I wish that
the people, the fans could feel the exhilaration that the player feels when when we won the American League and then last night. It was just incredible. The fans have been fabulous all year long.
I sat right behind your mom and dad and watched the game. I've never seen people pull for a son like that. It had to be an experience for you to be out there knowing mom and dad were in the stands. The 7th game of the World Series.
Well, you probably didn't stand or sit next to him too long because he gets more nervous than I do. He ends up walking all around the stadium, and normally, up through the minor leagues, when there's only 4,000 or 5,000 people in the stands, I could hear him yelling from different parts of the stadium at different stages during the game. But the Metrodome, you can't even hear your own self think out there.
Jill, I know it's been a long road for you as well, and a lot of the wives who've been on these road trips who are in St. Louis. What's next? What do you do to bring this guy down to earth again?
I don't know. We're just going to take each day at a time and just sit and absorb it all. And
You've been around Tom Kelly too long.
Yeah.
We're going to level off.
Level off.
What do you have planned? I mean, is a vacation at hand here?
Well, we'll be going back home to Florida in probably a couple weeks. But we're going to stay around while all the excitement and enjoy it.
Did you know, at any point, did you feel that the game was clinched, the 7th game? Was there any point when you knew we had it in the bag?
Well, I'm not sure if you can ever get that comfortable with yourself out there. You have to just stay on an even keel and play the game right to the last out because anything can happen. But when Gags beat that ball out, it seemed like we were beating them at their own game last night, and Frankie was doing such a great job. It was a gutsy performance by him, and I felt like once we went ahead that we might have it.
Steve, if you don't mind, we're going to take some questions from our audience as well. I think Tom Hanneman has somebody with a question.
Actually, I have a question to begin with, Steve. How you doing? Well, why is it in the locker room after winning you never show any emotion at all? It's
what is that?
He said, why after winning these games you never seem to show any emotion in the locker room?
We do have a question from just this gentleman. Your name?
Eric Williams.
Yeah, what's your question, Eric?
I'd like to know how they can play with all that noise in the Metrodome.
How can you play with all that noise in the Metrodome, Steve?
It is difficult to do, and believe me, we're just as human as you are, and just as nervous and tense out there. But over a period of time, you just learn to deal with the pressures, and hopefully you can funnel that nervous energy into a productive game.
We did have one question from a lady a few minutes ago asking whether you were married or not, but I guess that's been answered already, Steve.
Steve, what about next year now? This is going to be a different team. I mean, these are the champions.
Oh, we are not going to start thinking about next year till 3-4 months from now. We're just going to sit back and enjoy it and soak it up, and that's why we're going to stay in Minnesota here for a few more weeks. Normally we'd be on our way back to Florida, but we've just enjoyed the people of Minnesota so much that we'd like to stick around for a while.
Well, we love having you here.
You bet.
We're going to throw it back to Mark Rosen. Mark?
All right, thank you to the Lombardozzi family and for an outstanding season by the tremendous second baseman for the Minnesota Twins. Well, Wally the Beer Man and much more coming up. We return in just a moment.
Just won the World Series. What are you going to do next?
We're going to Disney World.
Welcome back to Southdale. This is the Champions, a twin celebration, and we're celebrating tonight. And the people that you are hearing right now are what we have called all season long the 10th man. They are the loudest fans in all of baseball. They did not allow the Minnesota Twins to lose this season. We're talking about the Minnesota Twins fans, and here's exactly what I mean.
When our boys came home from clinching the American League title, it was an event to remember.
We're back. We're bringing it home.
The Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome held a capacity crowd captive without a game in sight. Fans came in droves merely to thank the team in person.
Everybody waited to get home. We figure we have about 15,000 people here, and we got 60-some with another couple thousand outside. It's unbelievable.
This was the beginning of what was to become the epitome of baseball fever.
I'm overwhelmed.
Fans were willing to stand in mile-long lines to get a piece of Twins history, and they sacrificed their daily lives to camp out for series tickets.
I'm from London, Ontario. I need 2 tickets, please.
Anyone in the city here, get 2 tickets. I'll be grateful. Thank you.
And the lucky few who found themselves inside the stadium made the most of it.
Yep, we love the Twins.
They like us, and we like them, and it makes for good games for us.
But that's not to say that those outside the games didn't cheer just as loud.
Oh, boy, Twins! Your parents always tell you to be quiet, and then your friends don't.
From little leaguers to old-timers, the enthusiasm roared.
We're all children at heart. Go, go, go.
Even the elementary students found ways to incorporate baseball into their schoolwork.
Dear Cougars, can anyone play baseball in St. Louis? A Royal Twins fan, right?
Twins fever has had no boundaries either. Fans as far away as Castleton, North Dakota echoed their support.
We're just a little ways from the Twin Cities. They're part of us, and we're part of them.
Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
And perhaps the man who knows the Twins fans best, we're happy to have with us this evening, the infamous Wally the Beer Man. Wally, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Tom. What can I say? Bob Uecker says those fans really love him. I really love the fans.
Wally, you had quite a year. You're written up in Sports Illustrated. You broke that jinx, so you had a good year. The Twins were on the cover of SI twice. They broke that jinx. It's been quite a season, hasn't it?
It's really been great. I'll tell you, I grew up with this team right from the start. And when they see what happened here this weekend, it's unbelievable, and it's really great for the state of Minnesota and the whole upper Midwest.
Now, when you're in the stands selling beer and you're such a big Twins fan, how much of a chance do you get to watch the game?
Well, I usually watch it when I'm going down the steps, not when I'm going up. I check the score, see who's at bat and how we're doing, and how many outs, and who's on base, so we know where we're going and what's going to happen next.
You're handing out Cracker Jack today. You don't have to check IDs, huh?
Well, there's a couple of guys over here I got to check IDs on.
Wally, thanks so much. We're going to send it back to Don and Pat.
All right, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Wally.
And thanks to Wally the Beer Man. He's a famous guy, too, these days. You know, when we were in St. Louis, it was cold there. We wanted to hurry up and win this thing and wrap it up. And I remember I said to Tim Laudner one day in the lobby, Tim, can you just win this thing? And he said, we will, we will. They did.
Tim Laudner, a lot of people figured going into this thing he was everybody's choice for MVP of the World Series. Still gets all my votes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man behind the plate and his wife, Tammy, Tim Laudner.
They love you, Tim. How does it feel like you're back in the Metrodome again?
Pretty loud in here.
What's this day been like for you? You get up in the morning, see the papers all over again, perhaps get a chance to see some of the tape of last night's wonderful moments. Does it sink in yet?
Well, in some ways it has, and in some ways it hasn't. Phone was ringing pretty good this morning. Tried to get some things done around the house that have kind of gone unnoticed for the past few weeks with not much success I can add to that. I did get the garbage out, but that's about it.
Tammy, I know that the Y's played such a real role and a major role, and more than blowing whistles. Let's face it, it's tough, and I'm sure that sometimes keeping everyone's spirits up and trying to keep your family life together too at home.
Well, it's kind of tough.
What happened to your voice? I can't imagine why you may have lost it.
Gone.
I don't want to force you to answer anymore because I know it's very difficult. Tim, growing up in Park Center, I mean, we talk about the Minnesota tradition here and what it must mean to grow up in the state and see it finally happen. You grew up watching the Twins and to be a part of it and play such a major role.
I don't think that there's anything more exciting than that. Like you say, having grown up in this area, seeing what professional sports is like in this area and how people appreciate sports and how most of all people appreciate winners, and to be able to go out and win and to be world champions means everything. It really does.
I think fans also appreciate determination, and you certainly have symbolized that this year, Tim. And no one will forget that play, the Darrell Evans play at third base in the Detroit series. Oh, what a magical moment. That may have turned the whole series around. You'll send it out to one of your fishing buddies, R.J. Fritz, out there. R.J.?
All right, Mark, we have someone here, I believe, that would like to ask Tim Loudner a question. Your name, please?
Angie.
Your name is Angie. Do you have a last name?
Albert.
All right, Angie, what's your question of Tim Loudner?
Well, I just have a comment that I'm from Brooklyn Center, and Brooklyn Center is really proud of you for doing really good. And
All right, a Brooklyn Center fan, Tim. You're very proud, and you can be. Let's hear it for Brooklyn Center.
Yeah, all right.
Do you have any other questions for Tim? You can ask Tim some other questions because people like Steve Lombardozzi and Greg Gagne, those people all work real hard. He takes it easy out there. He doesn't work that hard. Get another question for him?
What was it like being born in Iowa?
What was it like being born in Iowa?
We want very detailed description here, Tim.
Well, believe it or not, it was kind of a normal childhood. I know it's hard to believe as I sit here.
Tim, someone else wanted to know if you hit over 190 at Brooklyn Center. This is the best 190 hitter in all of baseball, too, I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen. Tim, congratulations on an excellent season. Thank you.
Tim, I know this really is an emotional time, and you're going to get one more big celebration with the parade tomorrow.
I don't even know what to expect for that. It's going to be just incredible. I would have thought that the most exciting moment in my career was when we got back from Detroit, when they opened up the door in the Metrodome and we walked out on the field, and it's like we walked into heaven. I don't know what tomorrow's going to be like. I can't even comprehend that.
It'll be another little piece of heaven. Tim and Tammy, congratulations. I hope you get your voice back in a couple of days. Tim Loudner, catcher for the Minnesota Twins. Don and Pat, back to you.
Those are two neat people, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be back in just a moment. You stay with us.
Welcome back to Southdale, where we are celebrating the 1987 World Champion Minnesota Twins. As you can probably hear in the background, the roar is already starting to swell. Everyone has their favorite moment in the World Series. I think every Twins fan, not only here in Minnesota, but the five-state area and around the country, who grew up watching the Twins, really had a special feeling, a very special feeling indeed, on Saturday when the Twins' first baseman hit a grand slam home run to help beat the St. Louis Cardinals, Kent Hrbek.
does this sound compare to the Dome?
Pretty close.
Pretty good.
Pretty close.
And you know what? He loves you guys, too. Can't tell us because we're never going to have the opportunity to know what it was like. But to hit a grand slam in a World Series, to save a 6th game and take it into 7, what does that do to a person?
It's hard to explain. I think I told a lot of people when I ran around the bases that night that there was a lot of emotions let out for myself. I was struggling a little bit. I was happy for the people. I was happy for the team. I knew it gave us a big enough lead to where we were going to win that ball game and take us to the 7th game. And I said it a million times. I wish I could have ran around twice. Really, I wish I could have just kept running around until the game was over. But it was fun.
What were you thinking about as you were running around? I mean,
I was
were you
making
thinking
sure I was going to touch all the bases, first of all. I didn't want to miss any of the bases. And I don't know, just think about everything that when you go out there and you start playing Little League Baseball and you make it to the major leagues, and here you are dreaming, and you're actually fulfilling a dream is what really it comes all about.
1982, when you came up with that freshman squad, 102 losses in that season. Be truthful with us. Did you think it would be possible in 5 years to be the world champions?
I thought it would be possible. We just had to do some bits and pieces into the puzzle. We had a good nucleus. Gary Gaetti just hasn't got any kind of recognition that he should have gotten until the last couple of years. He was a heck of a ball player. Tommy Bernansky, heck of a ball player. Frank Viola, who now was the MVP of the series, was a heck of a pitcher then. We just needed to add some pieces to the puzzle, and we finally did it with Andy MacPhail and Tom Kelly and Carl Pohlad put the pieces together, and look what we got.
All right, now, Jeannie, you sit and watch as the big guy goes around the plate. You watched him struggle earlier in the year. He was consistently getting important hits during the series and in the playoffs, but not hitting like the Kent Herbig that he wanted to hit like. And then all of a sudden, kaboom, out over the center field fence, 439 feet. What are you thinking when he's going around the bases?
I was in tears. My voice is gone, first of all.
You can't talk either? Don't try.
But first of all, I didn't see him go around the bases because I was just hugging everybody in the crowd found out who I was real quick because everybody was hugging me, and it was just a thrill. It really was. I couldn't believe it.
There is still no way to explain, I suppose, just what kind of thrill that is to I guess there is nothing to compare it to in the United States. No accomplishment like a Grand Slam home run in a World Series.
I don't think there is. Maybe the ride tomorrow around Minneapolis and St. Paul area will be, that's something I've always wanted to do. Of course, win the World Series, but I've always liked them ticker tape parades, and I think tomorrow it'll be fun.
Yeah. Hey, we've got some questions from some of your fans out in the audience. Tom Hanneman.
A lot of people have a lot of questions. This young lady, your name?
Stacy Olson.
Stacy, what's your question for Herbie?
Was it as fun as they said it would be?
Well, I tell you what, it probably wouldn't have been as fun if you guys went out there and helped us out. I think the fun part about it the first thing I looked at in the paper on Sunday morning after I'd hit my grand slam was a decibel meter. I wanted to see how hard you guys screamed for me. That was the first thing I looked at. And you guys broke the thing apart last night, and that was great.
Tom's got another question up there. Tom?
One more. Your name, please?
Chris Hawkins.
Chris, what is your question?
I just wondered if you got any sleep last night.
I got some sleep. I wasn't in the greatest shape, but I got some sleep. I actually went out for breakfast this morning about 3:30 with my sister, her boyfriend, and a friend of mine, and my wife, and we ended up eating at Perkins, believe it or not. A little plug for Perkins there.
Yeah.
Eat where Ken Herbig eats. No. And I had us some breakfast, went back home, and at 5 o'clock in the morning, me and my wife were sitting in front of the TV watching the replay of the ball game and having all kinds of fun. Finally got to sleep, woke up at 1:30 today.
Kent, I wanted to ask you a quick question, about the national media. I'm over here. How you doing, Kent? Just in terms of the recognition, it seems like you guys always had to prove yourself all over again. No one expects you to win the West, and you had to do it again when you played Detroit and again with St. Louis. Is it finally here? Are you sick and tired of having to convince everyone that you guys are the best?
I think that's one thing that made us play even harder was all the people in the United States are talking about this team can't win and they only won 85 games or what have you. We went out there and stuck it to them, and you folks stuck it to it with them. All right. Thank you.
Can we just say, before we leave, thanks very much for coming.
More players, plus a look at the media frenzy of covering the World Series next on the Champions, a Twins celebration.
Welcome back to our very special Twins celebration live coverage from Southdale. Now, if I learned one thing in the World Series this year, it was how to conduct an interview while being doused with beer and champagne. That, of course, is part of live television. Let's take a look at what me and my colleagues went through over the last few weeks.
We're going to play in the 6th game of the World Series. What could be any better than that, you know? So I don't see where there'd be a problem with spirit. Chance of a lifetime.
Are you growing sick of all this? You don't seem to really enjoy yourself.
I guess that's true.
That's all.
Tom Kelly, one of the most important cogs in settling this
And he
wonderful
takes
game.
it one day at a time.
That's right.
Hey, when you think about the Twins players, who has the $1 million smile?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one of the most important newcomers to the Minnesota Twins. Ladies and gentlemen, all around, nice guy, all around, all American, all world, Al Newman. Come on.
Al and Sophie Newman. First of all, I'm going to start with Sophie. Do you have your voice?
Yes, I do.
Oh, we have a first. What was it like for you last night watching your husband? You got a chance to be on the field at the end of the game and experiencing it from the stands, Sophie.
Well, we were just out there dancing and blowing our whistles and waving our hankies. It was just awesome.
Did you ever think this was going to happen? You guys came from Montreal, of course, along with Jeff Reardon.
No, I had no idea. Not at all. It was...
Al, I had a chance to talk to you on the field last night, and you said, hey, this is great. I got to be on the field when we got the last out. Last couple of times you clinched in Texas, and then again in Detroit. You were out there with the water, throwing it on the guys. I'm sure it was a lot more fun being out there on the field.
It definitely is. I did think about the water cooler. I wanted to know who was going to throw it so I could look out for him. But at that time, my heart was just pounding, and I couldn't believe we were on the verge of winning a World Series championship.
Al, I think in a lot of ways you, too, symbolize what this Twins team is all about. Everyone doing their job. No prima donnas, no superstars. You guys, everyone contributed. And I think for someone who doesn't play every day, that must really give you a special feeling.
It really does. When you come in and you're going to play for an everyday player, it's a good feeling to know that they don't hold you responsible for what's happening. And it's just a great feeling. It's really hard to explain, but I can tell you one thing. All those hugs you saw on the field were genuine. All the guys really care for each other, and it's a great feeling. And I really think that's why we're number one.
Everyone does have their special moments, and I think probably a couple guys have mentioned coming back from Detroit after that long plane ride, albeit a very happy one, was really something when you guys opened the door and all those people were waiting for you, Sophie.
Yeah, it was a big surprise. I mean, at 3 o'clock in the morning.
It really was remarkable. RJ Fritz has a couple of questions. Wait. Al has got one other thing to say.
I just want to remind everybody, and now the whole world knows, that we're the Minnesota Twins, not the Minnesota Twinkies.
Well said there, Al Newman. Very well said. The Twins no longer the Twinkies. We have a couple of questions from a couple of young guys here. Your name, sir?
Brad Westrom.
Brad, what's your question of Al Newman?
Where did you and Kirby ever come up with a shake like you did at the end of the game?
I tell you, last year, when I was with the Montreal Expos, myself and Tim Raines, we had a little handshake that we did as a ritual, and when I came over with Kirby and during the course of the season, he did so many exciting things. I just figured there was some way that we can exclamation, say, hey, that's great. And that's how we came up with it.
All right, and that is great. Thank you. We have a lady back here. Come on now. Don't be bashful. This is no time to be bashful. This lady has what I think might be the most interesting question. She wants to know, and I'll tell her if she won't, she wants to know if she can rub your hair, the top of your hair. Can she do that? Go on. Come on down.
I've heard it all now. Are you ready for this, Al?
Now, see what a tradition you've started now, Al.
I just don't want her to hurt her hand.
Do we have any other questions of Al Newman? Here's one right here. Here's a question. What's your name?
Terry.
Terry? What's your question of Al?
Well, did you have any doubts about winning when you were in St. Louis?
I tell you what, as I spoke with a number of guys on the team, we've been on the road before, and we lost 3 in a row before, and we've always come home and recovered, so I was counting on that.
Okay, we have one other one here. Come on down. Your name?
Barb.
Barb, what's your question?
I'd like to know, I have actually a statement, that Richfield Junior High School loves you, and we'd like to cheer. We were cheering on the Twins all day in school.
All right, let's hear it for Richfield and Al Newman. Thanks a lot, Al. We're going to go back to Don and Pat.
All right.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sophie and Al Newman, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Al. Thank you for coming.
We'll be back with more Twins, the champions, after these messages.
We want to welcome you back to our Twins Champions program. Now, a lot of people will tell you there's more than one most valuable player on the Twins team. We all know Frank Viola, but Andy MacPhail is also a most valuable player and has been all year long.
You bet. Andy MacPhail comes from a long, long line of greats in baseball, and he is certainly going to rank right up there with all of his ancestors. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one certainly most valuable player on the Twins, Andy MacPhail and his wife, Lark.
You breathing a little easier today, Andy?
There's already a guy over here wanted me to sign Jack Morris, so right after the 87 season's over, they're worried about 88.
Yeah, he's up in the stands. Jack, you ready? Come on down. Well, actually, that's where it all started. I mean, talking about being in the fire right away, I remember your quote was, I'm like a household word, like a toilet. After you didn't sign Jack Morris, you took the heat. You decided not to sign him. It may happen again. Who knows? But the important acquisitions you made after that, Andy, certainly were the cornerstone of this club this year, along with the nucleus, of course, we've had returning.
Well, we were very fortunate, Mark. As you know, it's not just one person. I'm a little embarrassed about all the attention, but we have a front office that works very hard. Bob Gebhardt, Terry Ryan, Jim Rance, Billy Smith, a lot of quality scouts, and that's really all I do is read information. I think they deserve a lot of credit.
Clark, what was it like for you watching from the stands? Game 7 of the World Series, all coming down to how the Twins were going to play at home last night.
I'm happy to be here and not sitting in the stands because it was very nerve-wracking.
Everyone says it was nerve-wracking, Andy. You think of the contributions that this club had. You mentioned the front office. Everyone down the line, you think of guys like Jimmy Wiesner, the clubhouse man, who's been around here from the start. I think that's why the Twins fans are probably enjoying this all so much, because we've been through it all here before.
Well, I think you really hit the nail on the head. The Minnesota Twins fans were probably the biggest motivation the players had. They were trying to find a way to repay the fans. When that gate opened after we won the American League Championship, we were really surprised at the amount of attention we got, the amount of effort that the fans made to come out and welcome us, and there was no way for them to express that through words, and I think that's why they wanted to bring the World's Championship to Minnesota.
You're sick and tired of answering questions for the media. Let's go to the real fans out there. Tom Hanneman. Tom?
I've got a real fan here. Your name, sir? Tim. And your question?
I'd like to know if it's really hard to have these guys play with you all year long and then go into arbitration and have to slice them up.
Taking away from the fun already, huh?
Wait a minute. I just got saying it was easier to talk to the fans, Andy. You got some tough questions out there.
I got to be careful with this one because we've got Herbeck and Loudner and Newman and Lombardozzi listening down there. But no, it's pretty much. We had to pay a lot of money last year when we weren't. We were 20 games under 500 in sixth place, and I think Carl Pohlad and myself would much rather pay off on a season like this. They've deserved it.
Absolutely. Big parade tomorrow, Andy Lark, and I have the best of luck tomorrow. It should be a great time. Congratulations on an outstanding season.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Andy McPhail and Lark, there's your executive of the year right here. I'll tell you what.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to all of these people who came tonight.
Pat, you got the...
Thank you. Andy McPhail, Mark McPhail.
The celebration is not over. Tomorrow there's a big parade, as you very well know. If you're not going to be there in person, we're going to be broadcasting the parade on WCCO, and of course WCCO Radio will carry it as well. But let me just tell you where it starts in case you can be there. It begins at 12th and Marquette in downtown Minneapolis. It then proceeds down Marquette to 5th Street, follows to 4th Avenue. The procession then turns on to 6th Street. Are you writing this down? At the Metrodome. Disbands, and the motorcade heads east on I-94 to downtown St. Paul. Then at 12:45 tomorrow, the parade reforms at the Civic Center, proceeds down Kellogg Boulevard to Wabasha, left on Wabasha, past the WCCO Bureau to 10th Street, takes a right turn to Cedar Avenue, then left to Constitution Avenue, where it makes its way to the Capitol for a rally scheduled to start at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon.
We invite all of you, too, on your way home tonight, turn to WCCO Radio AM 830 for more special Twins coverage tonight. Thank you very much for being here. Minnesota Twins, 87 world champions. Minnesota world champions, 1988.